Good evening. I'm sorry. All right, here we go. Good evening. How's everybody doing? I am now calling the order, the November 12th, 2024 meeting of the Ben Lapine School Board of Directors to order. I would like to introduce our participants this evening. To my immediate left, Directors Amy Tatum, Keena Chadwick, Cameron Fisher, and Shirley Olson. To my immediate right, Superintendent Dr. Stephen Cook, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Lisa Burke, and Board Clerk Janet Bojanowski, and I am Marcus LeGrand, Chair of the Board. We'd also have Taylor Worth from Ben High School, Finnegan, is that correct? Finnegan Howell, thank you, from Summit High School, and Lindsay Lewis from Summit High School, and joining us from the Student Voice Council, also well as Daisy Chavez, is that correct? Thank you. Okay, from Caldera High School and the Latino Family Liaison. Welcome. Would you please now stand, remove your hats, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now move to agenda item number 3, review of the agenda. Dr. Cook, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda.
Fellow Board of Directors, are there any changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing no changes, we will proceed agendas as noticed. And now perhaps hand it over to Dr. Cook for district recognitions.
Thank you, Chair LeGrand. At this time, could I get Ruth Uribe to come up here and be oh, no, I cannot. Let's move on. We'll be back.
Great. All right, no worries. And now we will hear from our students from our Student Voice Council. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. I'm Taylor Worth, a senior at Ben Senior High School, and we would like to make the board and community aware that the SVC has reviewed the Youth Truth Survey data, and we have narrowed down what we plan to focus on throughout the remainder of the year regarding the data and how we can improve the school district in specified areas.
Good evening to you all. My name is Daisy Chavez Garcia. I am a sophomore at Caldera High School. And before I begin, I want to thank you guys for letting me be a big part of this meeting and allow me to share a brief message on this incredible committee. At Caldera, I'm very much involved in my community. I am one of the leaders for the Cultural Legacy Club, and I'm also a peer leader for the Sources of Strength, and I also participate in a youth council for the nonprofit organization Better Together. I have the privilege to accompany my parents in participating in the Latino Parent Committee ever since I was fairly young. As far as my future goals or plans, I would like to continue supporting my community as I already do, and continue advocating for our voices to be heard and recognized. The Latino Parent Committee has been existing for over 8 years now. The purpose in the committee is to increase the communication between the school and district and the Hispanic community, and to collaborate together to improve the academic experiences that the Hispanic students have. The committee has been very successful, and that is due to their dedication, commitment, courage, vulnerability, and leadership that they have been developing and implementing. One of the biggest accomplishments they did was they removed the barrier of not allowing parents with legal status to volunteer. And without a single doubt, the parents would raise their voice once again if the barriers were to continue. The committee has also hosted the Kinder Fiesta, which is an event to help Hispanic families to register their children into kindergarten and learn more about the school district. The families have also hosted the Latino Night every year, and which is an annual event for Hispanic families to learn more about the importance of participating and learning about the school district and how to use those resources. And this leads me to the reason why I'm here today. On Thursday, November 21st, the Latino Parent Committee is once again hosting their Latino Night from 5:30 to 7:30 at Mountain View High School. There will be mariachi, dinner, and other activities for both students and families. It would be an absolute honor to have you all go and have some fun, but most of all, it would make the committee feel even more proud knowing that the school board would take time to truly acknowledge the work the parents have done. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Thank you all for taking the time to be here. Thank you for the information. Most of all, thank you for the invite. And I think some of the board of directors definitely will make sure we take the time to make sure that we are present and being there as well. If not all of us, but I know some of us definitely will. Do you guys have anything else for us while you guys have the floor? Or? All right, if you do have any time, make sure that you continue to get it to other student voice council members to let us know what's going on. And if you, like I said, you ever have any concerns, feel free to either email us or connect with the liaisons that work with you all and make sure this thing works, okay? Cool, thank you for being here. I appreciate you very much. All right. Is she here now? Okay, okay. And now I'm gonna turn it over to Dr. Cook for diction recognitions.
Just like we drew it up. All right, now could I get Ruth Uribe to come up here? Get a mic in a minute. All right. I am so very honored to give this award, the Champion for Students Award, to the athletic secretary at Cascade Middle School, who stepped up and was a hero for one of our very own newcomer families during the first days of school. I'm so proud to name Ruth Uribe as our Champion for Students for the month of November. Cascade Middle School's nurse Oliver Tatum wrote to us and shared this story. On September 17th, a Spanish-speaking newcomer missed her bus home on the first day of school. The only phone number on file for the parents went straight to voicemail. Knowing the student was scared, and because Ruth is bilingual, Ruth stayed with her until a parent arrived at close to 6 p.m. While keeping the student calm and comfortable, Ruth worked with Kinsey Martin, Executive Director of Policy, Advocacy, and Equity. To try to locate a parent, Kinsey actually drove to the resident's address on file. This is all on top of the incredible work that Ruth puts in every day coordinating the school's athletic programs, managing the school's health room, and serving as the school's front office receptionist. What she did for this student on this day is just one small example of her willingness to go above and beyond in service of our students. We are very lucky to have her at Cascade. Cascade Principal Gabe Pagano shares the following. Ruth has done an amazing job of establishing herself as a standout staff member at Cascade Middle School. In her short time with us, she has become a trusted adult for our families, our staff, and our students. Just this fall, she guided over 200 families in registering their students for fall sports. Multiple coaches shared with me her willingness to drop everything to help them get the answers to their questions. She continues to build strong relationships with teachers and staff at Cascade, and her willingness to serve visitors to our school is contagious. We love having Ruth at Cascades and are truly blessed to have her working in our community. Let's give her a round of applause. All right, Ruth Uribe, in recognition of your actions on September 17th, 2024, in the aid of a student in need, your calm and proactive response and the efforts you made to communicate and reconnect the student to her family showed both empathy and care. Your actions demonstrated that all students belong to the Cascade Middle School family and reminded your community that anyone can step in the service of students. Ben Lapine Schools is proud to count you among our champion of students. Okay, you got a cheering crowd out there, so I'm going to hand you the mic and give you a chance to say something about them or about working in the district.
Sure. All righty. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for nominating me for this award. It really means a lot. Having only been with the district for such a short amount of time, this is very overwhelming and in the best way possible. And again, I was just doing my job and what I would expect, someone to do for my nieces or nephews who attend schools at Ben Lapine. So it really was a group effort. So I appreciate all of you guys for backing me up when I need you there. So yeah, just thank you so much.
One more round. All right, can we get a photo? Yeah. You five, come on up. Yep. Yeah, they thought the word on the street was they're taking her out to dinner on this. They didn't know they were gonna have to actually work and come get a photograph, so.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, thank you all. And that's it for celebrations tonight.
The Board of Directors and district leadership value communication from students, families, staff, and community members as it helps to guide the work of Ben Lapine Schools. Public comment is just one of the many avenues available to ensure this connection. Members of the public may also submit thoughts, questions, or concerns to the board via email, as well as in writing. Individual board members also make themselves available for phone, video, and in and on-person conversations. As we'll be holding a special meeting to conduct interviews for our Zone 6 seat vacancy, immediately following this meeting, we are now only accepting public comment by written submission this evening. The Google form will remain open until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. All submissions will be forwarded to all board members for their time to review or to the appropriate person who will be able to get the information. At this time, I guess we're going to move to our next item, number 7 on the agenda. We'll now move to consent agenda. I will entertain the motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. And it's been first motion by Director Tatum and second by Director Olson, the second motion. Are there any requests to remove anything from the consent agenda? Okay. Since there are no requests for any changes, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Excuse me. Well, all opposed? I believe the ayes have it. Thank you. And now we're here from Deputy Superintendent, Dr. Lisa Burke, for the Integrated Programs Annual Report.
Thank you, Chair LeGrand. Every year, Ben Lapine receives a variety of different funding sources from the state, and they together, a body of them is known as integrated programs. And so this represents 9 different integrated programs. Some have very little money attached to them, some have more money attached to them. The ones that we primarily are funded by are what's called the Student Investment Account, as well as High School Success. And so because this is funding from the state, every year we are required to both report on it quarterly, which we did throughout 2023-24 school year. And now that has closed, that school year has closed, now I need to give a report about the annual report of what we did with those dollars. So all of these funding sources are really in gear to support 4 areas: well-rounded education, advancing equity, engaging community, and strengthening systems and capacity. And so primarily all of these dollar amounts are used on staff, because that is basically what we spend our money on in schools generally. But part of our reporting is to note to all of our board members here, what have we spent our money on, A, but B, what did we learn from it? What things went well for us, and what are some things that we were looking at improving as we move into into future years. So if you look up here, this outlines those 9 program areas, and then those over on the right side are those common goals that all of them are really focused in. Remember, again, the 2 being the largest monetary investments are student investment account and high school success. So for Ben Lapine, we really have learned a few different things. This is not best practice as we look at this, this slide, to have a bunch of narrative text on a slide. Everybody, I hope you know that in presentation, but I know our board members were going to be reading those things. So basically, the first question that we have to report on is, what did we use the money for, and what went well? And so what we've noticed primarily is that we've been able to advance some things that we've already been doing in our schools. And the primary area of advancement is supporting students with a variety of special needs, specifically related to mental health supports. So what that has done for us in the past year is advanced our access to counseling, school social workers, any sort of school individual with expertise related to supporting students. That has advanced in ways that we've never seen in Ben Lapine as a result of these dollars. So it also has provided some curriculum and some opportunities for a few different programs that are part of partnerships within our community. So things like Sources of Strength, Upshift, and Forward Project are 3 different programs that we've both continued and advanced with our partnerships as a result of the use of these dollars. The second question that we need to answer is, what remains undone, or what did you kind of notice as you go? And the biggest thing that we notice as we go is that because all of our dollars are spent on people, as salaries increases or wages increases, then those dollars go less far than they would have previously. And so that's challenging. We also notice that the needs that we have for students coming into our system in terms of like their special needs, whether it be related to language supports, whether it be related to mental health supports, whether it be related to other access points, outpaces the people who are available. And so we are always in need of kind of more supports in that area. So that's another piece. And then finally, the ability to recruit and retain folks with specific skill sets, primarily in the area of special education, and people who are able to support students day to day with a variety of different needs, continues to be a challenge. So we see that both within our substitute pool as being very low, as well as just open positions that don't have a lot of people applying to them right now. So those are some things that we've noticed throughout the year. All of those, now we're moving into the new biennium or new dollar amounts. And so we are able to look at continuing and strengthening some of those systems that we have in place, and some of those challenges continue to be persistent, really not unique to our school, but into our school district, but continue to hit our school district as well. So that is the summary of integrated programs and how those dollars were spent, and some of our learnings along the way.
Directors, are there any questions? All right, thank you, Dr. Burke. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. And now I will pass it over to the superintendent for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Chair LeGrand. I have 4 things I'd like to share with the board tonight, specific to ongoings in the district. The first thing I want to start with is just a follow-up that we have completed one level of after-action report on Pilot Butte Middle School that took place last week. A group of about 25 district employees and law enforcement, different members from law enforcement met and went through a pretty deep dive into that, and we'll be continuing that dialogue. We met for about 2 hours to determine areas of strength, areas of concern, things that we need to continue to dig into. It is a work in progress, and it will continue to be a work in progress, but I wanted to let you know that deep dive into that after action has taken place and has started. The second thing I want to share with you is that we're 2/3 of the way done with our Excellence in Education Award winners. It's been a couple of weeks ago, we announced our district administrator of the year was Scott Olszewski, principal at Lapine High School. I think we surprised him. I don't think he knew what was going on at halftime of the football game a couple weeks ago and announced that he had won District Administrator of the Year. Last week, we surprised Lauren Miller on Wednesday at Cascades Middle School. She believed she was going to attend training for UKG that we were presenting with. We had brought in about 25 people from district office to surprise her, and about halfway through, we finally acknowledged that she was the winner. Lauren's a special education teacher at Cascade Middle School. It was really fun and exciting. And we have one more of those to go. That would be for the classified staff member of the year for the district, and that'll be happening sometime next week. I won't tell you the place or time. The second area that I want to share is, third, is a quick one. Just our employee assistance program. We're using a new provider for this program, and early indications are that they have been very responsive and have been very useful for those that have reached out. The tool that we're using is called Canopy, and it's not a thing that you tend to get positive feedback on. And so when we are getting feedback that those that have been accessing this employee assistance program that they're telling us that it is meeting the needs of the system, and then we're going to keep diving into that because, as you know, one of the things that has mattered to us a lot this year is the experience of the adults. Not only do we want thriving students in our schools, but we also want thriving adults that work in our school system. And so that's been a pleasant surprise to hear about Canopy being effective. And then I think the last thing I want to share with you is that we've started our first round of staff advisory meetings. As you know, that one of our goals is increase stakeholder engagement this year, and we have 5 staff groups, if you will. We have advisory groups that we are meeting across our classified, our certified group, our administrative group, our confidential group, and we have a group that we're meeting with that is, we're calling them South County. That's just a mixed group. We've had 4 of those 5 meetings have taken place so far, and first thing tomorrow morning, we're meeting in Lapine to meet with that advisory group. And the early feedback is that they appreciate the opportunity to have real dialogue. We're feeding them breakfast or lunch, depending on when they're scheduled for. And those are constituted by somewhere between 15 and 20 individuals that applied, and then we held a lottery to see who could be a participant in that. And so we've done our first one with all groups except for the South County, which will take place in the morning, and they're going very, very well so far. And I would love to answer any questions you might have on any of those 4 topics.
Directors, any questions?
What time is the South County meeting, Steve?
$7:45, correct?
7:30 to 9.
Thank you.
Any additional questions?
Yeah. With regard to last week's meeting, with regard to Pilot Butte Middle School, so you had a 2-hour meeting. Will there be do you have a set number of meetings to come in the future, or is this on case by case when you decide, or is this going to be maybe something ongoing to continue processing?
That's a very fair and reasonable question. It'll be many things, and the first one is that it will depend on the different components of the after action. And as we have kind of started to unpack this, it's one of the reasons we had 25 members in attendance. There's so many different aspects to this. And so there will be follow-ups that are very structured. There will be follow-ups that are not as structured. One of the examples are one of the things that we felt like was significantly different, and I don't want to speak for our communications team, but just for example, on the very first day, we had access to Sheila Miller, who actually came on site. Sheila is the PIO for Bend PD, and just availed herself to us and actually hung out for multiple hours and helped us process through with all of her connections directly with law enforcement. is that necessary? Is that a continuation? Is that something that we're going to need on occasion? And how does that work, having that direct access? And so it really, it depends. And so I think case by case is going to matter, but there are also things where we're going to want to dive deeper into potentially policy. We've already found a couple of policies that we feel like might be beneficial for us to take another look at based upon that early feedback.
And I'm certain ongoing support for that community, school community.
Absolutely. And not just that community, but that community is receiving the attention right now. But this is a dialogue and a conversation that's happening in quite a bit of locations right now because it's been elevated at Pilot Butte Middle School. And there were aspects where that school functioned it so tremendously in the ways that they've supported and rallied around students and families in that situation, but also things that we can take away from that as a way to model and have impact on maybe perhaps even some of like standard response protocols and trainings that we push out from the district's location as well.
Okay, thank you.
Directors, any other questions? All right, go.
I'm curious, what are y'all going to share with us the priorities that you've identified from the Youth Truth Survey?
Yes, some of the categories. We saw that the school district was lacking overall. It's split up into percentiles, and we were lacking in majority of the categories on a national scale, and school districts in Oregon specifically. Some of the subgroups was the grade level, for example, career and readiness. We saw that freshmen were actually more prepared for like getting head start on college and career readiness compared to seniors were actually somewhat lacking. So it's interesting dynamics. And we also saw that some other subgroups that were less, what's the word I'm looking for? They were lower on the scale compared to the rest was race and ethnicity as well as gender identity were groups that were lower. Anything else you can add?
Yeah, so we also were looking at kind of like basically the grade performance and, athletic, not athletic, I'm sorry, academic performances and how difficult people thought it was. That was actually lacking, but we don't really think that that's a focus that we need to focus on right now. We're more focused on the community dynamics and kind of getting that locked down before we look more into academics, because we are still above the percentile in our state, but it's more the national, or not national, or yes, I guess national scale we're looking at. But yeah, we're focused on community and inclusion and bias and all that, yeah.
We also want to add that our hypothesis of the categories that we thought we would be lacking in, like community, we were actually very an inclusive district and community and culture-driven community. It was a lot of the academic and college readiness that we need to focus on now and topics that concern that area.
Along with all of that, we were talking about it and kind of talking about like how true the survey is, because there's always errors in surveys. And so one of the things that I identified, at least for Mountain View, specifically the school I go to, is the fact that the Youth Truth Survey is not enforced for seniors. So the fact that we are seeing a big percentage of freshmen who are saying that they're college and career ready when as a senior, we're in this advisory schedule where the seniors had a class meeting during the Youth Truth Survey. So how true is this survey as a whole from 9th through 12th grade if our 12th graders at Mountain View aren't even participating in it? So I thought that was something that needed to be addressed because that's gonna have a big error in all of our data. And then along with that is I think that it was really great when we were looking at all the data that our like identity, our community, our culture through school seems fairly strong. And so I think if we can find more ways to keep that growing, that would be really great. But obviously we still need to focus on like college and career readiness and academics as well.
Thank you, Lindsay. You mentioned a tremendous gap there And I really hope our secondary, or our particularly high school, focuses on that missing piece and that that is not happening, and again, in the future for seniors. That's a huge, important part of the Youth Truth Study Survey, coming full circle, right, at the end of their school careers. I'm a little confused with Taylor, your thoughts, and then Finnegan. I heard focusing on community inclusion and bias, but then I heard feeling okay on that and focusing more. Can you clarify a little bit for me? And maybe I was missing two different lines.
I think we said somewhat the same thing, if I'm not mistaken, that we, yes, can always improve in that category, but we are actually doing quite well, especially compared to the Oregon, like the school districts on an Oregon scale, like out of the other districts in Oregon, we are doing well. But where we can focus is, and like hone in is on our academic standards.
Academic, and then it was it career prep? No, it was
Career readiness.
Yes.
Yeah, college and career readiness, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, directors. Appreciate it very much. Any other questions? The only thing I wanted to mention with Student Voice Council, I ran into like 3 or 4 Student Voice Council members from one of the additional high schools. The thing they mentioned, and I think you all probably have a conversation about this, is the cell phone concern. Not that they're happy. What they mentioned to me is they're happy that we do have it, but they also don't want to be targeted as students when they did something and they get in trouble for it and they didn't. Because some teachers are almost being like a dictator when it comes to the phones. So it was one of the critical things that some of them mentioned too. So that was the thing I got from a few students as well. Yeah, go.
So from a Mountain View standpoint, we've narrowed in on that phone policy quite a bit. And for teachers, everyone I've talked to hasn't really been on the same page about things. It's coming from higher ups, and the voice hasn't really been like told to everyone. So everyone's kind of on a, well, is this okay? Is this not okay? The rules aren't clear. And that's not only frustrating for all of the teachers, that's super frustrating for students too, because we're out here looking for like, hey, is it okay if I can pull my phone out to look at these notes for this class? I understand that that's not part of our policy, but is that okay? A teacher will say yes. Then we have a vice principal come in, and the vice principal automatically takes that student's phone, emails the parents, and then all of a sudden the student is in trouble. And so it's very hard for students and teachers right now, and I think I can't speak for all of Mountain View or all of Ben Lapine high schools, but as a Mountain View student, I know that the phone policy has kind of created some tension, and it's not on a student-teacher level. I think it's more on the higher up staff members, and so it's been kind of hard to narrow in on that. Especially, it's been really hard through the fall when not everyone's really ready to be back in school, and so obviously there's going to be students trying to break that policy.
Yeah, I can second that, coming from Bent High, that a lot of my teacher-student relationships are healthy when it comes to the phone. For example, the student asks permission before they can take their phone out for a valid reason. And, you know, there's healthy relationships there, and it may differ between teachers. I can understand that because each teacher has separate rules for their classroom, right? But then suddenly, I've heard many cases where a student is just not even on their phone. It's in their back pocket, and the admin asked for their phone. So I think there is some unhealthy balance between teachers and admin, where admin are overruling and taking students' phone when it is not necessary to be taken, especially when, in my opinion, I choose to be irresponsible, yes, but I also choose to be responsible with my phone majority of the time at school. So there's too many stories of students having their phones taken away for illegitimate reasons.
On a broader view, we haven't had a whole lot of time to discuss a lot of these because we're sort of just coming back together as a council. But for the most part, it sounds like the best outcomes typically come when teachers are decisive and, you know, certain and stick to their policies. There's a lot of wavering with teachers not being able to, or either, you know, some teachers have toddlers at home, so they're not used to dealing with high schoolers or vice versa. But there's a lot of this power dynamic shift that is troubling. And it's usually the teachers who have a specific policy and they stick to it and they build mutual respect, and that's where the best outcomes tend to be.
Thank you for that input. Appreciate it.
One more comment. And I really appreciate you mentioning this. It alludes to this idea of clarity and consistency. And thank you for your honesty. And it also makes me think about, particularly in high school, the 4-point grading scale versus 100-point grading scale, and the need for clarity and consistency, and the same thing with Canvas versus Synergy, and how to get folks on board and have that really clear for students and families, because the confusion can be really frustrating. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. All right. Now, this meeting is adjourned for our special meeting. I was planning on giving everyone about a 5-minute potty break. If you need a potty break or go to the bathroom, I say potty, sorry, I have kids. It's just one of those things. So take the time to take a quick break, and then we'll be starting back here at 6:12. Thank you.
Marcus, can I clarify? So public comment for this meeting will be combined for the second meeting, so will we
Yes.
double public comment?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
It'd just be same public comment.
Written.
It just written. It was just written.
Not public comment, I'm sorry, board comment, pardon me.
Yeah, and we can probably do for our comments, director comments.
Yeah.
I was thinking we can probably do it after the interview if we need to, and I was going to bring that up then.
I'm sorry, I misspoke, board comment, that was
Yeah, no worries. We'll do it. Thank you. 6:12.